Hello everybody, welcome to another vanilla scripting video. Today we're going to be learning how you can make the default chest sizes for every container in your world, no matter the type, bigger to your preference. Believe it or not, you can even make them so big that you have to scroll down. I'm going to show you all of that right now. Everything in this video is fully vanilla friendly. However, in order to set things up for the first time, you will need to use these mods. From that point on, anybody on your server or who is invited into your world will have to deal with the scripts that you've put there. This is going to be a lot easier if you understand how to browse the fields of an object in your Valheim world. And what do I mean by that? Well, the player sees a certain version of Valheim, but what the player sees is actually just the tip of the iceberg. You could argue that most of the game is actually hidden. This is where we'll be using world edit commands. Let's start with a basic chest. The player sees the default amount of items, right? But we can actually change all of this quite easily. All you have to do is use world edit commands and then open up the console. And for now, we're going to do data dump equals chest dump. Okay? This will allow us to see the fields of the chest. And if we go into our data file after doing that command, we can find the chest dump, or whatever you called it, at the bottom of the file. And this has all of the fields that the chest has, for the most part. It doesn't show you absolutely every single detail, but for now, let's act like this is everything. And this is actually a lot more information than we care about. So first I'm going to get rid of everything that doesn't matter. Really, all we care about is the name, right? And then the quantity of the stuff inside. So there's just a couple things that we care about. So I'm going to take this entire list here, and I'm just going to get rid of everything that doesn't matter and convert it to just those things I mentioned. And here we have the new information. I've removed everything that isn't necessary for now, and we can just focus on what matters. We have these two integers, 5 and 2 for width and height, and then we have these two strings, this value here and this one as well. We're going to adjust this chest so that it has double the space that it currently has. It's at 10 slots. I'm going to go with 21 because that'll be easier. So let's make the width 7 and then the height 3, okay? And now we're going to change this. What do we want the container to be called when you're looking at it and it's open? Expanded with EWP. And now let's save this. And now we have this chest dump data that's available in our local file. That means that I can point at the chest and use a different command. This time, data load. And then the name, chest dump. And then boom, what's going to happen? Well, we can see that it has the description expanded with EWP. And look at this. Our chest has more inventory space. And this is in the simplest form how you adjust things. I can actually see that this part didn't matter. All that really matters is this container name. And that's how you can individually adjust a chest. But this alone isn't going to be enough because you need to make it so the world automatically does this. That's what makes it a vanilla script for real, right? You want your players to just build chests and they're automatically bigger, right? And this is where we need to make a prefab script. It's very simple, and we're just going to type it from scratch using the data that we just acquired. I'm going to show you how to make it so that every normal chest that is built gets replaced with a bigger version of that chest. Make sense? Because for now, as you can see, we can make a chest, but then it's normal. We still have to apply the data. So let's make the world apply the data for us, making it truly a vanilla script. Let's open up a prefab script and get started. This process will be slightly different depending on if you're doing this for a dedicated server or if you're doing single player. If you're on single player, it's simpler because now that you got that data earlier, you just need to make a prefab script and your single player client will access the data. However, if you're on a server, you'll need to put the data on the server's file so that it can access it. Otherwise, it's not going to know what to do. First, I'll show you the prefab script, assuming you're on single player. After that, I'll show you how to put the stuff on the server and make it work that way. For single player, we'll load up a prefab script, a YAML, and we're just going to start with the comment saying what it does. And then it makes the wooden chest twice as big by default. Okay? So it normally stores 20 or 10 items. We're going to make it store 21. So we need to do the typical starting prefab and then piece, chest, I think wooden, something like this. Let's open our console and check. We want to spawn a piece, chest, and then what is it? Wood, right? Is that right? Let's see. Yeah, there we go. That's what we want. So not wooden and no caps, just wood. All right, prefab, piece, chest, wood. Nice. Now we want to go type create. So when this is created, we're going to, what are we going to do? We're going to apply some data to the chest, okay? And that data is going to adjust the size of the chest and the label, right? And we already made this data earlier. It's called chest dump, okay? So all I have to do is use the reference to the data here. And this is all that we need to do for this script. It's very, very simple. We're going to save this prefab script into our expand prefabs YAML. And then we should be able to open our console and see a new entry get added. See, it says reloading prefab rules. That means it noticed what you just did. In this case, I already had one. I just made one more, so now I have two. So now let's see what happens. We make a chest, and then what happens? Oh, the chest says expanded with EWP. And look at that. It is just a bigger chest. Let's do it again. We make a chest, and boom, look at that. Bigger chests. So it's that simple. That's all you need to do. It's not a fancy script. You just need to understand that there's data scripts and prefab scripts. And then you use both of these to make a data get applied to a chest that makes the chest bigger. It's quite simple. Now, let's say that you want to adjust something else. I personally love using these barrels, and they have this much storage space, but I like it when the barrels are really big because they're my favorite container. So let's say you want to use the barrel instead of the wooden chest. You want to upgrade the barrel, right? Or anything else. Well, you need to learn the name of the prefab. And the easiest way is to actually build it and then just look at it and then do data, save equals, and then random whatever. And then you're going to get a little message. See up in the left corner there? Let's do it again. We're going to make a new one. And then you can see it says piece, chest, barrel. Okay? So that means that our data is spawn, piece, chest, barrel, right? Just like that. We spawned it. That's correct. Okay? So now let's do something similar except for the barrel. First off, I want to make it even bigger. I mean, this is cool, but these barrels are beautiful, and I want to maximize the storage space without any kind of scrolling, okay? So that means we're going to have 4 rows and probably 8 columns, all right? So we're back in our local data file, and I just copy-pasted the chest dump from earlier, except now I'm going to call it the big barrel, okay? That's easy to remember. And we're going to make it 8 by 4, all right? And then I'm going to change its name to the big barrel, okay? Very easy. We're just going to save this. And now just to test it, before I make the prefab script, let's do data load equals big barrel. We should now have a big barrel with the full non-scrolling inventory, right? As you can see, it's very simple to adjust the container size. All you need to do is change the container width and the container height. In addition to that, you'll need to use some kind of scripting logic to tell your game or the server when to add these bigger chests. You might opt to make them as some kind of reward. I personally find Valheim to be a more enjoyable game when all of the storage containers are just bigger. You can still make them relatively bigger to each other, because this isn't actually the maximum. Believe it or not, it adds a scroll bar if you go further. So why don't we take a look at that and see what it looks like? Let's copy paste the data again. This is something that you'll be doing frequently, except this time we'll make it the biggest box. All right. And we're going to actually make the width a little lower. I find that this works better because it gives room for the scroll bar. It's just personal preference. And then this part, we're going to go a bit nuts. So instead of 4 rows, we're going to have 16 rows. All right. And this is going to be called the biggest box. All right. Now let's save this. As always, we can open our console in game and see that it says loaded new data entries or loaded new prefab. You should always check just to make sure it did actually load what you're about to test. Now I can go to any container. So let's go back to this barrel here and let's redo it. And now it's called the biggest box. And look at this. It has a scroll bar. And you can actually store even more stuff in your inventory. And this allows you to put absurd quantities of items in containers. You will notice that there's a little bit of lag when you open the container if you start going past this point. Like you can do like 32 rows, you could make a whole base fit in one container. It's just a little problematic if the container gets destroyed because suddenly all those items spawns. And also a lot of like craft from container mods don't work if you make containers that big. I guess they don't like look that far into them. And if you want to learn more about this kind of crazy nonsense, I mean, believe it or not, you can make quests, you can do all sorts of things. The vanilla scripting world has completely opened up Valheim and allowed us to use existing Valheim assets to do anything we want on a world that a vanilla player can join. They can have a quest, they can have a faster boat, they can have different container sizes, altered progression, different mechanics, different flavors of monster animations, all sorts of stuff. You can make Valheim your own. And if you want to learn more about this, I've got loads of content about it. But the best place to learn is the Valheim World Editing Group by Yair. Yair is the creator of Expand World Prefabs and many other mods that you've probably heard about, such as Infinity Hammer. And he runs a Discord that has loads of information about using the mods. And in particular, there's a channel called EWP Chat, and then also another one called Config Share. This is the place to be if you want to learn about EWP scripting and the stuff that I'm showing you, this vanilla scripting mechanism. And if you want to support my work, then consider renting your own dedicated Valheim server. I use the very same host that I advertise, Zap Hosting, to do all of my Path of Magic content, right? And if you want to learn all about that, I got lots of different videos showing you how to set everything up. As for Path of Magic, I actually have a public free-to-play Valheim server that's persistent. It's been around for 14 months, and it features loads, we're talking hundreds, of altered mechanics using EWP vanilla-friendly scripting. And in general, I have a policy of each person has their own progression and can play Valheim the way that they want to, as long as they don't get in other people's way. So if you're interested in joining a server that is more about, you having your own journey and leaving your mark on a world where you don't have to worry about changing the progression or being in the first wave of players or the fact that the season's going to end and the world will get destroyed, that's not a thing on Path of Magic. It is a continuous flow of people coming and going and projects and new mechanics that I'm working on to practice game development. So if that sounds interesting to you, you can actually join the Poolside Discord, which is a community Discord server. I'm lucky enough to have a spot in with Crumbs and Splash of Pain, other Valheim content creators. Once you're there, you can find the Getting Started channel in Path of Magic, and this will give you some information about the beginning of the server and also the IP and login credentials and all of that. And alternatively, if you just want to support me or help me out, then I do have a Patreon, but usually it's just for people who, you've been playing on the server and you're really enjoying it and you want to show some kind of appreciation. There's absolutely no requirement to participate through Patreon, but I definitely appreciate it, and I find it very personally motivating that people have had enough fun that they want to pay me for this. Like, that is kind of crazy to me, and it really makes me feel like, okay, I want to do this more. So that's always an option as well. Anyway, thanks for watching, and if there's something you want to learn about, just comment below. I can make tutorials about pretty much anything now because of this EWP masterpiece done by Yer. So the whole world is your oyster. Is there something you think could be fixed by something that's already in the game? Well, let me know. Ask below and I can make a video about it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye!